In this video, we're going to be talking about print formatting, and there are a couple of ways to do print formatting in Python. One is using something called the .format function, and we use curly brackets inside our quotation marks as placeholders, and we have a placeholder for each variable or string that we want inserted into the output. And here's an example where I said print, this is a curly bracket string with curly bracket placeholders. And outside the quotes, I've got .format, and in parentheses, the two variables I would print. By default, the order those variables are the orders they print. So in that statement, the X would print in the first set of curly brackets and the Y in the second. We can change that order by using placeholders, position holders. Well, the X is in position 0, the Y is in position 1, and so if I did 1 and 0, it would change the order. Most of the time, if you're using the .format, you insert your variables in the order you want them printed. If I wanted to print X more than one time, that's where I would use the numbers for placeholders. In Python 3.6, they introduced something called f-strings, or formatted strings. A string is in the print statement preceded by the letter F. And there we still use the curly brackets, but we actually insert the variable names inside the curly brackets. And it's easier to use than just the .format, at least in my opinion. So I prefer that. So let's look at a few of these. And I've got some variables here. And I can say print, and we'll start out doing the .format. So print, the number is curly brackets, and then my .format and num. And when I run it, it says the number is 42. If you're thinking, well, what's different there than when I use the comma outside and inserted the variables? We'll get to that later. Now I can now put a period here to make it a complete sentence. And if I was using the commas to separate, I'd have to put the number is in quotes, comma, num, comma, and a period in quotes. So you can maybe see where that would be easier. I can print a string, and I didn't spell comedy right. Let's just leave it. And then again, the .format, and this time I want st. And it inserts the string. I could have more things. Notice that I got this not in the green. PyCharm is saying, hey, there's a problem with that. And the problem was I used a single quote here and here, and then the single quote here, and it thinks that was the end of that string. So if I put a backslash, now it knows that I want it to do the quote. I could have used double quotes on the outside, and here in my format, I'm going to have two things. I'm going to have st comma pi, and it will insert both of those. So I can insert more than one argument here, and it fills it into the curly brackets. If I used numbers inside, I could control the order. Now, the other way of formatting is with F strings, and F strings I think are a little easier because we put the variable names inside the curly brackets. I copied the lines we had before and took out the dot format. To do F strings, I put the letter F before the opening quotes, and PyCharm changes the color of the curly brackets, and I put in the variable name inside the quotes. And once I put those variable names inside the quotes, when I run it, I'm going to get the same output I did before. Where I find it's easier is I always know exactly where those variables are going to go. I can also put, instead of variables, strings there. So here in those curly brackets, I said, here is a string. And let's just put the number here, even though it really doesn't make sense, but you'll see how it does handle a string there. Well, where that's going to give us a lot of power is when we see how, with either the dot format or the F strings, how we can tell it exactly how we want these variables or strings to look. And we'll see that in the next video. If you're liking this video, please like and subscribe.